Forward TV. The world is thinking.
You know, what's China been doing all this? Why haven't they been helping? Well, the reality is that China has been keeping the West afloat. People talk about, I was asked, the first question is, what do the economic textbooks say about this? Well, the economic textbooks don't say that China is supposed to send money to America. They say the opposite. They say the rich countries are supposed to send money to the poor countries. That's the way capital flows are going to go. So one of the byproducts of all this in 10 years' time is someone's going to have to rewrite some textbooks, but that's, you know, by and by. The reality is that the value production is going on in the West. Banks can make profits. Yeah, of course, HSBC makes a lot of profits. Barclays makes a lot of profits. That's not new value creation. It's their ability to cream off profit made elsewhere in the world. The Financial Stability Report that came out this week from the Bank of England, which you may have read, Tuesday or Wednesday, made the point that at the beginning of beginning of this decade, broadly speaking, deposits and loans in the British banking system are equal. Now there's what they call a customer deficit fund or whatever, customer funding gap they call it, of £700 billion. Where's that come from? It hasn't come from Michael's friends in the city busy making profits and creating a lot of values. It's come from capital flows from elsewhere in the world. And so that's what China's been doing. China's been doing fine, thank you, making a lot of profits. Those of you that weren't in the session earlier on China, I think China's going to have a hard time in the next couple of years as a spillover of this. But the reality is China's been making the values, and it's been doing a lot, keeping the American economy afloat. America, this great pinnacle for, you know, world leadership and stuff, America is the most indebted country in the world. Now, you and me, if we don't get any income and we have a credit card, we can live quite well and buy lots of things and be quite prosperous until the credit card bill comes in and until the bailiffs come round. In reality, America's been living off credit from the rest of the world. It is the most indebted country in the world, and that's an interesting thing. You have a country that presumes to be the world's economic leader, which is in hock to the rest of the world. And that means that underneath this, there's an economy that's based on fictitious capital values, you know, things which are turning money into money in a sense, and based upon the hard effort of those Chinese workers elsewhere in the world. Don't blame them. In terms of being asked, what should the leadership do here, is to recognize the severity of the situation. We need to look at this crisis at two levels. I say, sure, we can have the discussion, which is the topic, the credit crunch, but it's what's going underneath. And my final point on that is that what has been going on underneath is not enough productive investment in the West. The question is raised, what's the reason or what's the driver for growth? Okay, people may have different views, but fundamentally it's about productive investment. There's been very little going on in the West, a lot going on in other parts of the world. That is a qualitatively different character of economic activity, and the politicians don't recognize how bad things are in the West.